Play. We will get things moving here in just a second. It's Killer B. I'm joined by Mr. Zero Empires and Mr. Milmano. Good to have you guys with me. Let's do it.
That's right,
Thanks
Zach.
for having us.
That's right, it's Milmano, not Mailman.
Sorry, I think Killer B misspoke there. He meant to say mailman.
Oh.
But
Oh,
yeah, I'm looking forward to this best of five, especially because if you consider where these guys have come from, I think Heartt's journey to get this far has been very surprising to a lot of people. He's put up a great performance so far this tournament, but more than ever now, we get to see Heartt versus Liereyyy, the two teammates actually going to face off against each other, the two clanmates facing up against each other. And for the last year, they've been grinding out 2v2s, and we've never really seen Heartt stand alone, right?
Not as much as we might want to. Liereyyy and Heartt's last games against each other on Voobly with Wololo Kingdoms was in early November. We were watching some of those games to warm up. And we did see Heartt do well in those games. I think Liereyyy is broadly a favorite here, but we are going to see aftermath on aftermath crime. We'll see Liereyyy in the blue trunks on my screen. Let's just see. Oh, no, Liereyyy playing in the green and Heartt playing in the gray. We'll see Mongols and Japanese right away. What are your thoughts, Momano, about choosing these civs first?
I think Mongols is a pretty, decent pick overall for Arabia type maps. Well, Arabia map in general. It is a bit weaker these days, but it's still a viable unit, viable civ. Japanese is also a very interesting pick. I think, if I'm honest, Heartt's going to have to go very aggressive in the early game because, again, as always, even in the late game, despite the nerfs to Mongols, it's still more powerful than the Japanese, I think. So I expect Heartt to play very aggressive, but his biggest problem for Heartt is his map slightly. And just look at the gold for Heartt. It's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it? Like, either it's great if he gets control of it, or it's just terrible. Like, it's one of those weird situations where I'm looking at it, I'm like, is it great?
Yeah, we'll maybe see a re here. Could happen if he's not comfortable with that. He does see it already. And I think the re has to be called before 4 minutes, right?
I think do they get 4 in this one? I actually don't know. I was assuming it was 5. By the way, guys, I'm playing with Heartt in the blue, Liereyyy in the red. The colors were bothering the stream, so I figured we should fix it.
Heartt in the blue, yeah?
Heartt in the blue, yes, sir. And we've got Liereyyy forward with a scout. He is kind of hovering around that boar a little bit, maybe going to wait. He knows it's the second boar, I think, so he may need to wait a bit before trying to lay any vills. Blue player is pushing deer and starting to wall up early, so it does look like Heartt is thinking about playing this map very defensively and trying to get maybe into the later part of the game. So, what do you think about this matchup, Zach? Heartt and Liereyyy, who's your favorite between these two guys?
Well, I think Liereyyy is going to have the edge in terms of skill level. But I think Heartt is a bit of a dark horse, really. I think he knows Liereyyy probably better than most. And he's, like I say, had a really good performance so far in this tournament. Surprising to see him this far or this deep. And if he can, if he has good form today, remember, like, players can have good days and bad days. If he can get into Liereyy's head a little bit, I think he's got a chance. But I would pin Liereyyy as the favorite to win. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah, I think... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think I agree. Liereyyy is the favorite, but I do like the dark horse analogy. I like that Heartt is sort of playing with house money here. I mean, there's not a whole lot of expectations. He wasn't supposed to make it this far as it is. He's the 12 seed in the tournament. Liereyyy sits on top of the ladder on Voobly for 1v1. And he's expected to win these sort of games, so maybe a little pressure on Liereyyy if he loses one early. We did see Liereyyy drop an early game to ACCM in the last set and recover just fine. So we'll keep an eye on that storyline as we move forward. Barracks is coming down for the blue player. Liereyy's already got a barracks down at home, and we will continue to watch these guys build up. So Milmano, I interrupted you. What's on your mind, my friend?
No, it's pretty much the same thing what I was agreeing with, really, in terms of being dark horse and all that business. I think it reminds me a bit like Viper and Jordan back in like 2013 or so, 2012. I can't remember which year, but when the year of the best 21 or whatever it was, like a little bit like that, where like Viper was, you would say, is a better player, but like Jordan did beat him in that series essentially. So even though everyone thought essentially that Viper would win essentially because he is better player overall, but anyway.
You got to say spoiler alert. You got to say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Oh yeah, that series. Oh yeah, that series.
People
yeah,
have only had 5 years to watch that, so
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone. To
You're a
everyone.
terrible person. You should be ashamed.
I told you already, Zach, that it's earlier. I'm a terrible person. So why not continue it for the rest of the day?
Mailman doesn't care. He's a
Your
rogue.
postman doesn't. Your mailman doesn't care.
My
This
mailman
mailman
doesn't care.
does care.
So,
But anyway.
game development wise, we do have the barracks up for both, but as far as I can tell, no militia coming out for Liereyyy and no militia coming out for Hearttt. Even though Hearttt did send 2 vills out to the gold here, interesting really. Obviously, Liereyyy is going to go straight into scouts then, and we should expect to see that from the Mongol player anyway. But I maybe expected to see Hearttt going for some Japanese men-at-arms here in anticipation of those scouts.
Yeah, also I got to give some props to Europe. Europe saying the exact same thing as Momano at the exact same moment. Yeah, so Hearttt, you're right, is going to be a little slower. He's going to start walling himself in. Liereyyy also won a little scout fight while we were chatting away, which is actually kind of meaningful. He was able to kill Heartt's scout. Hearttt knows what's coming with Liereyy's uptime, but it's always nice to have that scout out early. You can push deer, and in this case, Liereyyy will go forward and find that couple of villagers on gold, and he will also hang around to see an archery range, and you have to think that's a huge advantage to be able to see that. Spearman coming out for the blue player, as you predicted, Zach.
It's also kind of strange. I mean, to go straight into archers versus the Mongols, it's a very odd decision, really, because archers in small numbers really don't perform well. It's really going to be on Hearttt here to defend his base for the next minutes or two with the spears. And of course, Liereyyy, if he's a slippery fish, he can get in there and pick some villagers off, while Hearttt, meanwhile, is chasing him down with the spears, trying to keep his archers probably inside of his ranges until he can at least get 6 or 7 of them. Otherwise, they'll just cut down by the scouts so quickly here.
Yeah, a forward scout here for Liereyyy. He did this against Hearttt in the past in the recorded games we were watching to warm up for this. He likes to seize the initiative against Hearttt, especially Heartt's build being so slow with double range archers. Notably, on the right flank of the blue base for Hearttt, there is an opening in the wall on that side, as far as I can see, next to this house. There's a tree missing on that panel, and I do think he's going to be open on that corner. So keep that storyline in mind for later. Maybe that will be important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. That right side could be abused, but right now, obviously, Liereyy's focusing on the left where the gold is. If you can push Hearttt off of gold, then Hearttt can't make archers. If Hearttt can't make archers, then his scouts are even more of an advantage. And already, this is exactly what I was saying before. Hearttt cannot use his archers right now. They will all just die to the scouts. And as a result, Liereyyy is in a perfect position to claim 2 villagers' lives and potentially push Hearttt off of the gold. This is why I say it's a super strange decision to go straight into archers here, as Heartt's basically forced to make as many spears as he can to keep these scouts off of him, and he's inevitably lost 3 villagers already. So, not looking great for Hearttt so far.
Yeah, and another Vill going down in the corner. Liereyy's got a couple of low HP scouts, but he's still seizing the day. Right now, he's going to have a 2-villager advantage. Hearttt playing this one from way behind early on here, certainly going to get set back early. We haven't heard from you for a moment, Milmano. What's on your mind, buddy?
Watching the game, really. I mean, I kind of agree with Zach's opinion, but at the same time, it hasn't worked out that just the 3 vills being lost. That's bad. But I can see where Hearttt was going with this. He covered the top-hand side with the walls. That's fine. All he had to do was make sure the left was, covered by the more spearmen. I think he just lacked that second spearman. I think he was delayed with the second spear coming out. I don't know, but it must have been, because I saw one. I was like, there should be a second one by now. But either way, he just needed a bit more time. If he had that second spear, it would work. It would have worked. But now he's in a bit of a difficult position. You should be okay now, though. He's got enough archers coming out, the black is out, fletching coming in, and should be able to defend here. But this has given Liereyyy a lot of time at base to get his economy set up. He's also transitioned now into an archery range, so getting some skirmishes going. So should be able to try and keep the aggression up and keep Hearttt back at his own base.
Yeah, Liereyyy getting +1/+1 on his skirmishers already, so really investing a lot. He's going to be pumping skirms out of one range for now. Liereyyy transitioning a couple vills out to gold to start to build out his build order. By the way, it looks like the villager count is equal. That's because Liereyyy has wheelbarrow, and I don't believe Hearttt does. So the advantage right now is a wheelbarrow difference. which is a very nice upgrade to have versus your opponent. Big fight in the middle of the map, a little bit of microing going on, but ultimately, Hearttt probably doesn't break this deadlock just yet. Still slowly building up that archer army.
I want to add that Liereyyy going straight into skirms was a really good choice because he knew that Hearttt had probably got, 5 or 6 archers at this stage. So straight into skirms also doesn't open himself up to the risk if he goes into archers that Heartt's only been making skirms for this whole time, and the whole just gathering gold was a massive debate. But I agree with Momano, really. Like, if he'd have just closed off the left side, or if he didn't delay that second spearman, maybe he would have been in a better position. But right now, he's lost those 3 vills, and with Liereyyy having wheelbarrow, just look at his resources, right? He's nearly got the 800 food he needs to go to the castle age, while Heartt's struggling to get above 100 right now. Liereyy's going to take a huge advantage over the next... well, I'd say 5 minutes of game time, and he's going to try and really push that, I think. He knows he's got Hearttt in the palm of his hand at the moment.
Yeah, Liereyyy at the moment did add in a second range, is transitioning into some archers, and we will see those units start to roll out. So it will be archers to follow up with these early skirms. Red player Liereyyy still has a tech advantage with the +1 defense upgrade already in. Hearttt is trying to build out his eco and get things going. Liereyyy 700 food, 150 gold, Hearttt 400 gold. No food.
Hearttt is only just getting horse collar as well, by the way. So he got that very late.
Boy, yeah.
Considering he's already seeded all these farms. I know a messy start for him, and there's Liereyy's Castle Age upgrade coming in now as well. So I'm worried about Hearttt right now. His problem as well with going skirms here is that he can't really counter-attack. He'll try. Is he realistically going to kill a villager? I doubt it.
I don't think so either. I mean, mainly skirmishes. Also, I love that outpost up by Liereyyy as well. That's a lovely outpost. I think they're so underrated, like and so underused at times. Like, I see some games, but like this one, I'm like, what? And then it's so bad. Look at that. Okay, season already coming. I guess he kind of knew anyway, but even still, like, it's just such an underused and underappreciated building the outpost.
He's got one on the south as well. Down here, which is nice. So that's to protect his wood line, of course, from range units. But right now, I mean, Liereyyy, even if he loses all of his army here, which could potentially happen, he's fine with that. He's going for a second stable. And we're going to see really high aggression from Liereyyy here. We're going to see, well, I assume we're going to see him go straight into double stable knights right now, and he'll sort of put the archer crossbow on the shelf for the time being. But the 2 archery ranges are there as well if he wants to transition into some cross later to do some raiding damage. And into Hearttt space.
Yeah, that
Killer Bee calling it.
Oh, that open hole in the back lets a few archers in. Liereyyy will come in and snipe a spearman and idle a wood line. Pretty good bit of raiding, good bit of annoyance there.
Yeah, and that's really negligence from Hearttt, not noticing that it wasn't closed. I can see why he didn't think it was closed, because it does kind of look, at a glance, it looks like it's closed, right? But that 1 tree gap causing him to lose another 2 villagers, and Liereyy's going to start rolling away with this game, I feel. I don't know how Hearttt is going to be able to recover at this stage. He's so far behind right now, and he still doesn't have wheelbarrow, by the way.
Yeah, that was...
I believe... Wait, no, Dizzy had... Hold on, let me check that.
I believe he did just get it, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd be very surprised if he didn't. I'm looking at his... going up to the castle age, so that's probably where the villager difference is coming from. He did get it, yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of crushing timing, I would say. Liereyyy getting those 4 archers in, idling a wood line and killing 3 vills. That's going to disrupt Heartt's wood economy a bit, and if he was planning to add in more TCs sooner, he's going to be hurting a little on wood. It is still skirmishers getting cleaned up from the blue player. He's got a couple of archers out, but Liereyyy is, as you said, going rather aggressively into knights. Red player back at home has a second TC down and a siege workshop in defense, so Liereyy's taking no chances, playing this really conservatively, I would say, with the siege workshop at home.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Momano.
No, I think I completely agree with that statement. The siege workshop was too defensive. I would have put it slap bang on the front. Start getting the pressure. You know you're ahead. You got a good combo going. Get the mangonel out. Battering ram on top of that. What's Hearttt to try and contend with, really? He's gonna get a monastery now. Get some monks out, try and convert the knights. But looking bad though.
Yeah, Liereyyy will get a Mangonel out here pretty early, and presumably he will send that forward to meet up with his army. For now, the double stable knights are not quite pumping out at full speed. We will have bloodlines on the way, but Liereyyy seems to be diverting a little bit more resource into his economy with that second town center down. It's an 11 villager lead already for Liereyyy. Bloodline and husbandry will be in soon, and we will see a counterattack now, potentially from Hearttt.
Heartt's further behind in eco development as well. I mean, we knew that he was behind in vills after losing so many. He's actually down by 12 right now, but he's only just building his second TC, while Liereyyy already has his second TC up and running. There's farms around it, which means, you know, it's been there for a while. And yeah, Liereyyy is in a perfect position now as he comes forward with his knights, backed up by his Mangonel. Doesn't have +2 defense on the knights just yet though, which is going to be quite an important upgrade here. But for the time being, to threaten with the Mangonel for now.
Yeah, it's absolutely a great position right now as Liereyyy adds in a market in the back of his economy and a third town center. Milmano, what are your thoughts here if you're playing as Hearttt? How are you going to claw your way back into this game?
Okay, at first, I think you need to try and catch up on eco a little bit before we start. Problem is, though, that's probably not going to win the game either because he's already so far behind. So he needs to make some big play. I think he needs to try and send those crossbows out and try and pick up as many vills as he can. But again, it's really difficult from his position. And I actually don't know what he can really do. I mean, apart from try and catch up on eco, he has to make something happen because otherwise he's just going to slowly fall back behind and lose the game eventually. So I don't know exactly what you think, but I think he has to go and make some play with these crossbows because otherwise he's going to be put behind in villagers the entire game.
Well, he could try and defend and boom, right? But like he could maybe put a castle up on the left side to defend his flank, but it's going to be really hard to do that, and that'll set him back even more. So he is in this really awkward position where he's got to hit back. He has to equalize that villager count somehow. And, you know, it's much more reasonable to counterattack and raid your opponent's economy to equalize the villager count than going +2 TCs on them and trying to equalize it that way. So right now, Hearttt in the back, throwing down his university, looking for ballistics, of course, and he's on the way out with the crossbows. And I think the fact he's got the monks here is going to be really important. He could actually force an engagement and get the upper hand.
It will be interesting to see if that fight happens. For now, Liereyyy will outrun it. Monks still being added into that army. Good number of crossbows. Redemption on the way for Hearttt, thinking about converting a little bit of defensive mangonels, I suppose. We will see slowly this army build up for Liereyyy, but notably, he already got elite skirmisher Momano, so Learyy's kind of ready for this.
Yeah, it's just bad. Because even if he fights up to the knights, he's still got the annoying skills. And there's a mangonel on top of it.
Well, Hearttt needs to convert the knights, and then he can take out the skirms. That would be the ideal.
That was so well played by Liereyyy, by the way. Like, he just got those skirmers, just pick off the monks, and then just basically force back crossbow with the knights at the same time. So good.
Yeah,
he also deleted his mangonel as well.
Exactly, yeah, that's really important. That Mangonel could have fired a shot onto the skirms and could have helped Hearttt on this battle. I don't think he still would have won it, but a good deletion there from Liereyyy. And slowly, Liereyyy will start to push his advantage, and he's taken over this hill in front of Heartt's base now.
Yeah, I don't want to call the game too early, but I would say that Liereyyy is in a winning position right now. There really isn't much defense here from Hearttt. He's only just getting his siege workshop up now. He doesn't really have an answer to these skirmishers at the moment. Doesn't really have an answer to the mangonels from Liereyyy until he can get his own in place. And even then, he's still going to be fighting uphill from below this hill, you know, from his base on the right side. And that looks like a GG.
Yeah, spot on, Zach.
Yeah, the GG comes in here in game number 1. Liereyyy chose a fast civ in Mongols, did some damage with scouts, and never let his lead go. It was pretty much a smooth bit of sailing for Liereyyy there in game 1. Any final thoughts from you guys about that one?
I think Heartt's plan was good. I understood the plan, but the execution wasn't there. That delay of the second spear cost him so bad. It just never got him back in a position of a place to win, really. That was the problem.
It started snowballing out of control quite early on, I feel. Really just the early losses from Hearttt feeding into Liereyy's continued, I guess, continued victories, let's say, over the course of the game.
Yeah, I like the way that Liereyyy played that. He played that game as if he was the better player, as if he was calm. Hard to really